Alternatives for mobile video today on Call for Help.
Well, hello there. How are you? Good to see you. Where have you been? I'm just glad you came back, that's all. We've been here waiting for you for the last 24 hours, dying to do episode 434 of Call for Help. This is the show where we explain how technology works. I'm Leo Laporte. This is Amber MacArthur, my able co-host. And today she's going to show you how to put your videos squished out on a little screen.
I'm actually showing off a couple of devices. One of them is kind of an alternative to the iPod, but it's very, very tiny. It's from Creative.
Oh.
And the other one is watching TV on your cell phone. So I'm going to show off a new cell phone that I just got, which
Little
I love.
screens. Oh,
Yeah,
you have a new cell phone?
Yeah, I really,
Seems
really
like
like
you have
it.
a new cell phone almost all the time.
This is it. This is the final
This is the one you're sticking with?
I love it, yeah.
This has got to be good.
It's good.
All right, I can't wait to see it. Also, Leila Boujnan is back, and she's going to talk about getting your photos published. Last time she was here, she was talking about how to keep your photos from being published without your permission. Now, the other way around. Also, we're going to talk to Bill Sweetman about search engine optimization and publishing, another way to get your name out there, your own email newsletter.
Ooh, great.
Without being seen as a spammer. Because that's kind of the trick nowadays.
Yeah, it definitely is. I actually started publishing a newsletter online. That was one of my first jobs.
Really?
Yeah.
It's different now, I think, because people are so paranoid about spam and mass emails. I think it's kind of harder to do an email newsletter.
I think it is a little bit harder.
Yeah.
People are just getting too many emails these days.
Yeah.
But even there are those people who do it well, like dailycandy.com.
We like that one.
They're great. There's one in Toronto called Sweet Spot, and it's another great newsletter. So there's people out there who figured out how to do a good job of it.
Very cool. But all of that's all well and good. But I think really the real reason I'm here anyway, I don't know about you, but the real reason I'm here is because of my great good looks. No, it's because I answer phone calls, so let's get another one on the air.
All right, we have Jake on the webcam from Stephenville, Newfoundland.
And my great good looks. Hello, Jake, how are you? Yeah, she's laughing. Jake, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, talking about good looking, here's a great looking picture from Jake all the way in the Netherlands. Oh, I'm sorry, Newfoundland?
Yeah.
Oh, well, close.
No, no problem.
I'm just teasing. What can I do for you, Jake?
Well, on my laptop, I installed any kind of video game, like just for PC,
Okay.
and I can only play it for like 5 minutes, then it shuts down my system completely.
Ooh, that's not good, is it?
No.
So there's two possibilities. One would be a software problem, one would be a hardware problem. The hardware problem would be an overheating problem. Because, I mean, think about it. What really challenges your computer more than anything else? It's games. And you start playing them, and then 5 minutes in, everybody's working really hard, and everybody's getting really, really hot, and the computer has a cutoff circuit in there that when the temperature reaches a certain point, it just goes, no more, because any more than that, we're going to burst into flame. So it could be overheating. That one's kind of hard to test, but you can get programs like Motherboard Monitor and run them and kind of keep an eye on them while you're gaming. And if the temperature starts to go up and up and up above maybe 60 or 70 degrees Celsius, that could well be what's going on. One other thing would be, it could be a driver issue. There could be something we call a memory leak. When a program has a memory leak, it doesn't release memory after it uses it. It just grabs more and more and more and more and more. And that can also cause a crash because at some point, of course, you run out of RAM and boom, things go south. So it could be that. One thing I would try before, as I said, watch your temperature. Do you hear the fans spin up and get really loud as you're playing the game?
Yeah, it's kind of humming there.
Yeah, humming.
Yeah.
Okay. We might have a fix for that. Another thing to test in software is the DirectX drivers. Try DXDIAG. This is the DirectX diagnostic. You can do it, run it on Windows by clicking the Start button, hitting the Run, and then entering DXDIAG in the Run box. This will test your drivers to make sure there's no problems with them. This is another good way to see if there's an issue with your drivers, which it could be. But, I think if you're saying the fans get pretty loud and revved up, I'm thinking it could be a heat issue. And there, short of buying better fans, there is a way to fix this. And Sean actually has, we've shown these before. In fact, remember Andy and Mike did a test of these things. We had a thermocouple. We put down Mike's shorts, and we had his laptop in his lap, and we tried these various cooling devices. If you take a look at what Deshaun is holding right now, That's a USB powered. It has fans in the bottom. You put your laptop on it, and we found that it sucks about 10 degrees Celsius off of the laptop, and probably enough to keep it running. They're not expensive. You go to eBay, you can buy these for $4 or $5.
Yeah, these ones right here, the one that I'm showing off, the Antec model, is about $30.
That's
You
expensive.
can find it a bit less if you go looking.
It's a brand name.
Yes.
But the one Mike uses is some off-brand Chinese thing that was literally $4 or $5 on eBay. What did you search for on eBay, Sean? Mike, was it laptop cooler?
Laptop cooler, yes.
Laptop cooler. So let's go see what we could find out there. This might be, given. What are you laughing at, Sean? What are you laughing at?
Just Mike.
Just Mike, it makes me laugh too. He's got a cooler laptop. So one of the, based on what he's told us, Sean, is it hardware or software? What do you think?
It could be either.
It
If
could
it's
be either.
consistently at about 4 or 5 minutes, then that could definitely be the point where the heat is getting
Yeah,
too
it's always
much.
the same, you know.
I also had a new motherboard because I screwed up with Linux.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you had to put a new motherboard in?
Yeah,
How could Linux make you have to have a new motherboard?
or hard drive or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that
Well,
messed up
it
then?
could be that there were heat issues. Laptop cooler on eBay. Look, here's one for $9.47. Here's one. It's $1.84 right now, but $16 shipping. They get you on the shipping, don't they? That's always with eBay, Oh, it's $3, $48 shipping. There's something wrong here. So, but just take a look and consider the shipping. Look, here's one that's 2 cents, but the shipping's $20. I don't think I'm gonna buy that one. In any event, there are plenty of places you can get these. I think probably getting a better one might be a good idea.
One thing that occurs to me, if something was replaced inside that notebook, when they put it back together...
Maybe they didn't connect the fans.
Well, if he's hearing the fans going on, that's one thing, but perhaps if they had to replace the motherboard and they replaced the fan on top of that, perhaps they didn't put the proper thermal grease in
that could be
where
it
it could
too.
be, so that it could just be overheating and shutting down.
Yeah.
So if it was serviced and it happened just after it came back, then that could be part of the issue.
You might take it back to the people who fixed it and say, hey, dude, it's overheating now. So did it always do that, or was it only since you had the upgrade?
Well, I never really tried it till after I had the upgrade.
Yeah. Tell them they messed it up. Motherboard monitors available from mbm.livewiredev.com. This is a program that works with most motherboards, most systems. You can run it. It's free. You run it on the computer, and it will tell you how hot it is. And keep an eye on that. It's hard because you're playing the game, right?
Yeah.
So, and it cools off fast, like seconds after you stop playing the game. So play the game right up to like 4 minutes, 35 seconds, and then quickly switch over to motherboard monitor and see how hot it is. Just quickly. Then you'll see it'll be already going down. But I have to say, I think, what's that you got there behind you? Are you watching TV while you're watching TV?
Yeah, I'm watching G4.
Oh, good. All right. Well, at least you're watching something good and wholesome. All right, Jake. Hey, I thank you for the call.
Okay, can I get a autograph from you and Amber?
Anything you like, you can have.
Thank
We're
you.
blowing it out to the bare walls. It's all for sale. You want something from our set? Just let us know. Name a price. It's yours. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll be glad to. Hang on the line. We'll get you get your address and we'll send it out to you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Take care. Good luck in the Netherlands. Coming up. It's just me? Is it just me? It's just me. Coming up after the break, we're going to show you an amateur photographer. Actually, we're going to show all you amateur photographers a thing or two. Learn how you can have your images not only seen around the world, maybe even make a little money on it. Stay tuned. Amber MacArthur's got the latest right after this. Stay tuned.
The world of photography has been revolutionized thanks to recent trends in tech. Now we've got photographers like Sean of all skill levels and even experimental shutterbugs who are sharing their images around the world. But is there a way for us non-professional photogs to benefit from our glimpses of brilliance? Leila Boujdan is with us today to talk about how we can get our pics out into the world and hopefully make a little bit of money as well.
Absolutely.
Hey Leila, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so you were on before, as Leo mentioned, telling us how we could really control our photos going into the world, and now you're telling us we can possibly make money off them.
Absolutely. the technology, I mean, today's technology and digital photography is allowing everyone to take photographs. So if you actually love digital photography, you're going to want to see your images, you know, sold or transacted somewhere and have somebody actually use them for a campaign. And today, contrary to belief, there are a lot of sites where you can actually do that. And these sites are typically called microsites. So these are sites that accept submissions from amateur photographers, photogs, and just individuals who are interested in, you know, putting their images out there. These are sites that would qualify as royalty-free type of sites. If you think about the photo industry, you know, professional photographers would sell images in two classes. You know, the rights-managed image, which is more exclusive, so images can only be used for certain campaigns, in certain products, in certain sectors, and royalty-free, where there's more flexibility to do that. An example of a royalty-free site would be Fotolia. And that's a site actually that has, I think, 1 million or 1.2 million images online. And these are all uploaded images from photographers.
So this is when you can go and you can buy a photo and you pay a one-time charge for the photo,
right.
And then it can be used as many times as you want it.
Exactly. That's the royalty-free concept or the micro-stock, you know, concept. There are still some restrictions to the image usage, but typically the fees are fairly low and you can actually use them for your projects, and they could be for print and web. And in the case of Fotolia, for example, you will see that they have a price for, you know, a web image, so a small download or a medium download or an extra large download, and the prices are quite reasonable.
So a lot of people who are uploading images to Fotolia, are they people who are professional photographers? Are they hobbyists?
It's a mix, actually. There are professional photographers who do that, as well as hobbyists and individuals who are just amateur photographers. They take a lot of photographs and they want to see those photographs actually sold in the market. So it's a mix of people, really.
Now, how do they control the quality of the photos that are being submitted?
That's a fantastic question. Typically, companies like Fotolia, as well as, I'll show you Shutterstock as well, they have photo editors, you know, what the industry calls, you know, the gatekeepers. And what they really do is look at your image collection when you submit it. Say you are an amateur photographer or a hobbyist, you can actually get in touch with them and say, I would like to submit images. They'll give you a submission procedure, and then you just send it out. The same way if you were a designer, you would show your portfolio to a company to get, you know, to get them to understand what you do. You do the exact same thing for these photographs. You submit them, an editor would look at them and basically accept a number of them in the image collection. And once that happens, you know, your images go online and they can be searched and bought and forwarded to other companies to look at.
Now, is this something where all of your images go into a database of other images, or do you have almost like an online storefront where you have a portfolio of your images, or is it both?
You can actually, it depends on the type of company that you work with. If I take an example of, you know, iStock Photo, and that's a Canadian company, you could have two things. You could have a portfolio that's your own where you submit all your images, and if somebody did a search on a particular image, say they want a photograph of downtown Toronto, they can type downtown Toronto as keywords and find all the images. If they find an image they like, your name, if it's your photograph, your name is going to appear underneath that, and you can actually go and select that name and see all the images associated with that photographer. So in a way, it acts that way. But in reality, it's not a store. So if I go to the site and buy an image that belongs to you, you don't get directly paid from me. You would get directly paid from iStock Photo. So basically, it's a split of revenues. You know, I do all my purchasing on the website, and you get a check in the mail every month that, you know, shows all the images that have been sold and a percentage of the fee for you.
Now, what type of images should people submit? Because I know, as I mentioned, Sean is always snapping photos around here. I doubt that they would get bought necessarily on any of these photo sites. So what types of photos really work well on some of these sites?
Well, it really depends on the market, and it really depends on the segment. But typically, what I've done is I collected a couple of examples here. If we go to, you know, iStock Photo, you will be able to actually look at the most popular download that happened the last week, last month, or last quarter. And that's actually a really, really good snapshot of what's being downloaded and used for projects and products all across the world, because this is an international site, obviously. That gives you an idea of the type of images people are buying or the type of images people are downloading for their projects.
Can we look at some of them just to get it?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about what type of photos people are.
There is something that's actually really interesting, and I know for a fact this image here, which is called Image at Home in the Yard. This is a picture from an amateur photographer, a woman who actually lives in the US, and she sells her images for, several dollars per image on Microstock website, and she was interviewed by Photo District News, which is the industry magazine for professional photographers as well as amateur photographers. And she basically mentions in that article that this is the #1 selling image for her in the past 3 months. And if you look at the downloads, it's actually ranked number 15. But it's pretty amazing. It's a wholesome photograph of a family, on their front porch, and this is a stage photograph. She has a number of other ones that are not that way. I'll show you an example of images that today have been uploaded on Fotolia. What's really fantastic about this collage is it shows you the last 300 images accepted by the editors at Fotolia. And if you roll over any of the images, you'll be able to see how they actually look like, and that gives you a pretty good idea of the type of images that you can submit.
So do you know of anyone who maybe is doing this for a full-time job where they've really depended on a lot of these sites and they're submitting photos and really making decent money off of it?
Yes, actually, the average amount of money that you're going to make could range anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s per month. And this is, monthly compensation. It's not really a compensation. It's basically a percentage of the sale. Now, each stock photography website has its own way of compensating you. Some of them you would get 20% of the sale, some of them 40%, some of them 50%, some of them as high as 60%. So it really depends on the type of model that you are prepared to follow. But on the microsites, we have to be quite honest and admit that you are not going to be making, exactly a Bill Gates salary selling, stock photography to microsites, but you could make a decent living doing that.
That's good. Sean's not going to quit his job just yet then.
No, absolutely not.
Stuff. All right, thank you so much, Leila.
You're welcome.
Leila Boujnan is with eDay Inc., a leader in visual search solutions for digital imaging. You can read more about her company at edayinc.com. And for a list of the tips Leila recommended today, read over our show notes at callforhelptv.com. And now it's time for our next tech quiz. Today we're asking, IEEE 1394 refers to which computer interface standard? Is it FireWire, USB, Bluetooth, or infrared? I'm not going to tell you the answer right now, but we'll be back in a few minutes with the answer. Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for our Mac tip of the day. Here's how you download the Mac Mirror widget so that if you have an iSight camera, you can have also a mirror on your computer to check yourself out. I guess that's what it's for. I'm not really sure. But it's kind of cool, I guess. Anyhow, we'll link to it on callforhelptv.com. And now we have another caller. We have Kelly on iChat from Estevan, Saskatchewan.
How come I do that and I don't look nearly as good? I don't understand. The mirror is wrong. It's wrong. Thank you, Amber. Hello, Kelly.
Hello.
How are you today?
Not too bad. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to the show. He snuck up on me. He's on a Mac, I can tell. You know how I could tell? I could see me, the little inset of me right there. That's an iChat right there. What can we do for you, Kelly?
I am wondering how to bind a Automator workflow to a keystroke.
Well, I'd like to bind an Automator workflow to a keystroke myself. Actually, there's about 8,000 ways to do this. Let's talk. Now I know you're on a Mac when you're talking about Automator. Automator is really kind of a wonderful but little known, little used feature that came out with OS 10. I think it was OS 10 10.4, I think, but I'm not sure. No, it wasn't Tiger. It was before Tiger. Automator? Automator, yeah. It was 10.4? All right. So it came out with Tiger. And it's really wonderful. Now, Apple Macs have always had a very scriptable interface with Apple scripts, but Automator makes it even simpler. Let me just pull up Automator right here. And if you switch to the Mac, you can see I'm going to run it. Now, I'm going to answer your question in a second, Kelly, but just to fill people in, let's make an Automator action. So the idea is all of these applications in this column here can be automated. And also, here's something everybody with a Mac has, an address book. If I click on address book, these are some Automator actions that are available. People can write new actions and you can download them and so forth. But let's make a simple address book action. I'm going to drag this over. This becomes my script over here on the right-hand side. So I've dragged find groups in address book. I have a group called Twits. I have to send an email once a week to the Twits to say, hey, we're going to do a show. And then I'm going to, now what you do is when you drag actions, you notice this turned into an arrow. Now there's a flow. The results of this are going to flow into this, right? Actually, I don't want to really use that. I'm going to flow it into group mailer, and it's going to automatically flow into here, and then it's going to send a mail message, and I'm going to go on. There'll be more and more. But so we've created an action. Now we can do a few things. I can run that action right away. There's a run button right above here. Or I can save that action in a variety of ways. Now, if you save it as an application, using Save As, you just save it as an application, then it'll be an application you can put in your application folder. Now I'll show you a way to get that to run automatically. You can also, if you want, save it as a plugin. And that means it can be a Finder plugin, which means it'll show up when you right-click. You probably know all of this, I'm sure.
Yeah. But
I want to just show you, Kelly, it depends, the answer to your question depends on what you've done with it. You can also make it a script menu item, which means it'll be, in effect, an Apple script that'll show up in the Apple script menu. You can have it be an iCal alarm and a folder action as well. If you made it a folder action, for instance, and attached it to a folder, then anytime you moved anything into that folder, the action would be run, so forth. But let's say I want this action to be run, as you say, automatically by a keystroke. I'm going to save it as an application. I'll put it on here, and I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to say email twits, and I'm going to save it. So now I'm done with Automator. I can close it. And this application, which doesn't really do anything, but it could, is sitting right here on my desktop. Now, how do I make that run automatically? Well, you can, of course, assign to an application, you can assign a keystroke, and that's fairly simple to do using the System Preference pane. And we're going to go to the Keyboard and Mouse Preference pane. And you'll see under Keyboard Shortcuts, I can add a new keyboard shortcut. And I can choose an application here under the applications, and I'll have to browse to the application and so forth, but I can choose any application I want, and I can say, okay, that application has the keystroke of Command, Shift E for email twits. And then whenever I press it, it will automatically have that command. I guess I should do it. Let's go through the process.
I thought I had tried that. And
it wasn't working for you. Yeah. I'm going to show you. I never use this, I'll be honest with you, because I have a better way. But I'm showing you because this is what is built into. So email twits, add. You have to make sure you save it as a runnable application. Actually, when this says this wants a menu command, so it may be that you can't do it that way, actually. Interesting. I always assumed you could. Let me show you. It may be that you have to have a menu item. I like this way anyway. Have you ever heard of Quicksilver?
Yeah, I didn't really get too much into it. I saw you.
Yeah, I love Quicksilver. Quicksilver, in fact, I just used it to run Automator. Instead of going through the folders and stuff, I just pressed Control space. That ran Quicksilver. I typed the first few letters and it pulled up Automator. Well, Quicksilver, which can be used this way as a keystroke launcher, can also assign any application any keystroke. So if I go into Quicksilver's preferences, you'll see that we can actually assign a keystroke. And I like to use it to assign function keys to that, actually. They're called triggers. So we're going to go and we're going to make a custom trigger. I'm going to say add a hotkey, and we're going to say the application will be email twits. It may not know about it yet because we don't actually, probably hasn't had time to search for it yet. But let's say it's this. And then I can assign a trigger action by double-clicking here. I can assign any hotkey to it, including the function keys. So I can make, you got to be careful with the function keys because some of them are used. But let's say F14 is on your keyboard and it's not used as it's not on mine. Every time I press F14, that's going to run the application. Quicksilver is free from quicksilver.blacktree.net. Highly recommended, Kelly, for things like this. If you're one of those people that wants applications to be run on keystrokes, that's just one of many things it does. I think the custom triggers capability of Quicksilver really is probably the best way to do what you want to do. I still think you can do it if I have to play with it. You might have to play with the Automator or make it, I don't know what you'd have to do to make it work. But Quicksilver is a much easier way to do it. Highly useful.
Okay.
Yeah, give that a try. To me, this is the application every Macintosh user should have. Quicksilver.blacktree.com. And because it's free, I can't see any reason not to have it, frankly. I've never had any compatibility issues with it. And once you get used to in fact, I don't use Spotlight anymore. I assign it to to command space. Once you start getting used to using command space, you know, boy, that's it. You never dig through your hard drive anymore. You could type command space a name, an application, a document, a song. You can launch iTunes. I mean, it's just wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly?
I will give that a go.
Give it a go. I think you're going to find it's the easiest way. And of course, there are a lot of commercial programs like QuickKeys that'll do this too. But Quicksilver is free. Quicksilver.blacktree.com.
Okay,
Thanks, Kelly.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And about two things, really. If you're a Mac user, I think that Mac users don't use much. In fact, maybe we'll start doing some tips on these. Quicksilver is one. And Automator comes with every copy of OS X, and it's wonderful. I mean, just really powerful. Coming up, want to watch video on the run? Amber's got a new cell phone. She says it's just great for watching video. She says, I don't even use my iPod with video anymore. We've got a couple of little non-iPod gadgets to get your video fix for you in a flash with Amber McCarthy right after this. Stay It's not a real disc. Go ahead, yank the disc. Come on, yank it. Ow!
Sorry.
Sewn right on there. Fools everybody. This actually was a good thing when people still had floppies, but now everybody knows it's just sewn on. You see the ads, you see the TV on your cell phone, the video on your MP3 player. You want such a thing, but really, are you ever going to watch TV shows and videos on a tiny little screen? Amber says yes. And it doesn't have to be an iPod. She's got a couple of gadgets that will keep you glued to the screen, not literally, of course. And they are tiny.
Yes, they're quite small. So first, let's look at the cell phone that I just got, which I really like.
You really like this?
I really do like it, and I'm not a big cell phone person, so
Although
I'm not one of
you
those.
seem to have a new one every show.
I know, I have had a few cell phones.
This is like the Razr kind of, but it's not. It's from Samsung.
Yeah, it's Samsung. It's the A900, and it allows you to watch TV on your phone, and so it has a bunch
Should
of
we watch
channels.
some TV?
Yeah, we can watch some stuff. There's some trailers that are
I'll
loaded
watch
up
some
there.
movie trailers.
Yeah, and the reason that I wanted to show this off is because I've tested out some different phones that have video on them or television on them, and the quality is really, really poor, where I find this is actually fairly decent in
Now
terms
that's going to be network specific too, though,
Yes,
right? 'Cause
exactly.
You are downloading this off. In fact, you saw that little thing. You're downloading this off the network.
Yeah, so they give you a bunch of channels, and
but
they
it does
have
look good.
updated newscasts, and you can watch little clips from some of your favorite shows. So you can see this is pretty good compared to some of the other phones that have been out
Yeah.
there that have video on them. I'm not sure what movie this is, but I just loaded it up before we started. Let's see. Domino. So this is, you know, if you look at the quality, it's pretty decent. It's really easy to use. What I like the most about this phone is one of my big issues with phones is the usability on them, and the interface on this is fantastic. In fact, maybe, I know it's fun to keep watching the video, but maybe for a second we can go back. Sorry, Leo.
What do you want to do now?
Click on End, and then what I want you to do is go to the menu system. Actually, go.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah,
I'll just hold it.
Okay,
I'll hold
let's
it. You
go
menu.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to exit the media player. The reason I want to show this is just because the menu is so nice. So here we have music. This is the media player. That's where we can watch
really
all the
nice.
videos.
Yeah. And you could, of course, press numbers too to access these.
Exactly. So we have all the settings there. Also with this phone, although this isn't specific to video, isn't specific to TV, is that you can shoot video with it, and it has this handy little button on the side of the phone. So you know when you want to switch to the mode where you go to your camera.
Yeah.
Well, you can just click this.
Press that button.
Yeah, and it will automatically switch to camera mode, so that you can also
Do we have
take
to
pictures.
get out? We might have to
let's
get out of that
there.
mode.
Let's go there. Two people using the cell phone doesn't work as nicely as we would have thought. Leo, does it? Okay, hold on a second. There we go.
There you go.
And so that you can shoot little videos with your phone, which is kind of fun. And then also, Leo, you can shoot video of yourself. Now, see this little thing here? That's actually the lens. So now we're looking at the prompter.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, you can flip it around.
We can flip it around.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
then we want to see you. There you go. So what's neat about this?
Why are these phones? The picture image quality is not great.
That's not great. It's doing.
I think it's distorting my face.
It's distorting your face. I've never seen that before, Leo. Sorry about that.
I think it's just I think because the pixels are wide.
Yeah, it's expanding your face in a horizontal manner I've never seen before. So anyhow, it's kind of fun. What I've seen recently, actually, I'm going to take the phone away from you. Sorry about that. But what I've seen recently is some people on YouTube who are shooting videos with their cell phones.
It's amazing.
Now, the reason that I mentioned that this is kind of cool is you can imagine.
Are you doing that?
I did actually walk through the park the other day and shoot a video of myself, just because it was kind of fun.
Now, my phone is limited to 10 seconds. Can you do longer videos?
I've done a little bit longer, maybe 30 seconds
Okay.
will be okay. So, and it's just a really ease of use with this phone, and being able, the video quality is good, and it's fun. It's just really simple to take videos, and then you can also email them to yourself or do things with them. It takes great photos, 1.3 megapixels. So
Cool.
I really, really like it.
That's the Samsung what?
A900.
A900.
Yeah, and then as far as price with that, with a plan, it's about $250. Our makeup woman, Erin, just bought one, and she also really likes it as well. Now, you're probably going to like this because it's quite tiny.
This is really small.
yeah.
I could accidentally sit on this and I never find it again.
This is the Creative Zen V Plus, and it's obviously a device from Creative. Now, if
Now,
you're,
the flicker you're seeing is because it's on TV. It wouldn't. It's
it
not
doesn't.
flickering
It's
in
not
real life.
defective. No.
Should I press play?
Yeah, you can press play on the top right-hand side. So, what this is I think this is the
The Colbert Report.
Colbert Report. And so you can load videos up onto this. It's kind of like the iPod with video, but as you can see, it's a lot smaller, and
is
it's
it small?
flash memory.
Wow.
Yes, so it's 2 gigs of memory, which is kind of cool, so you can fit a decent amount of videos. And one thing Sean did to impress me, because I sometimes don't get that impressed with gadgets, is he did this, Leo, actually, if you don't mind me just taking it from you. He did one of these.
Ah!
So he just dropped it, yeah. He did that. So he literally threw it across the room to show me
Can I
how.
have that, Basil?
Yeah, how sturdy it is. Now, the video on this, I know it's still playing, so it's really, really tiny, but it's fairly easy to use. And if you want something smaller, I find the iPod video.
This is really.
It's too big.
You think it's too big, though? I mean, look how small the screen is. Don't you go blind looking at that?
Okay, this is my theory on this whole little player, is that it's fairly inexpensive. It's only $149, which is not too bad. But let's say you're probably not going to watch that much video on it, Leo, but you can use it for an MP3 player.
Right.
You can also use it as an audio recorder. It also has an FM radio on it, so you can listen to the radio. You can show off your images,
Wow.
and you can watch video on it.
Wow.
So if you think about being able to do all those
a lot of
things
stuff.
for 2 gigs of memory.
how much is it?
$150.
See, that would be a good gift, I think, for a kid.
It is a great gift for a kid.
It doesn't have speakers, so obviously
Yeah,
if you're
you
going to
need
watch video, you need headphones.
Yeah.
The thing is, a lot of stuff you watch, like the Colbert Report, the audio is the most important thing. The video is just kind of same thing for this show, probably. The video just kind of gives you something to look at, and occasionally you might want to look at a picture of the gadget or whatever, and you could see that. That's so tiny. I mean, look at that. It's smaller than a
tiny.
floppy.
I mean, you could use this if you were out walking and exercising. And so video, it's not primarily a video device. You can't steal it, though. It's really something that you might want to use as an all-in-one device.
Really neat.
And the one thing I want to mention is that it's Windows only, so it comes with
Yeah.
software. We have to convert some of the videos.
Right.
And so if you're a Mac user, unfortunately, it won't work for you.
So, and it's really robust. Watch.
It's really nice and tiny and light. And I think it's a pretty good deal to be able to do all those things in one, where I do find the iPod with video a little bit clunky, a little bit expensive as well.
How's the user interface? Pretty easy to use?
It's so easy. It's
Apple
so
just
slick.
had to settle with the Creative over the iPod user interface. They claim, the Creative claimed a copyright or trademark infringement. No, patent infringement. Well, I'll be darned. Look at that.
Yeah, you get used to it. At first you think it's not so good, and then you start playing around with it, and you realize that a small little player like that is probably not a bad thing to have around,
Look, here's
just
Amber's
because you can
first
do everything.
appearance on Call for Help.
What?
I won't play that one.
Anyway, between these two devices, if you're going to have TV or video on the go, I think they're good options.
And you like the phone.
I love the phone, and again, I'm not really a phone person, but I really, really like it.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Samsung A400?
A900.
A900, or the Creative V Plus Zen. And if you want more information, including links and so forth, visit our website, callforhelptv.com. That's where Amber's got our show notes. More of your calls coming up when we return right after this. Stay right here. Wow, that is really tiny.
It's
I think
tiny,
the
huh?
screen.
5 commercials for 3 rural commercials to 1.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for a Writely tip of the day. Here's how you can share a document in Writely. All you have to do is open up the document that you want to share, go to Collaborate at the top left-hand side, and then you can invite others to edit and work on the same document. And now we have another caller. We have Jason on the line from Waterford, Ontario.
Hello, Jason.
Hello, Leo.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm very well. What can I do for you?
Oh, okay. I have Windows XP on my computer, of course. I have an AMD 2400,
Okay.
and I have a couple of programs on it. Not a whole lot. Mostly music, of course, for files and some text files. But lately, my computer's been lagging quite a bit.
Oh.
Even bringing up programs or even dialing out or anything such as that.
When you say lagging,
As in taking a long time.
taking a
to
long
even
time,
open up.
just to open something,
Yeah.
it takes a while.
Exactly.
And when did this start?
Well, I'd have to say it started a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Lately, I've just been going with it, but it's
Little
starting to
Jason
get
didn't
to
put peanut butter in it, did he?
me. Pretty much.
Feels like it, huh? I'm thinking there's a number of things that can happen. The reason I asked you what happened, what you did before this, is sometimes installing something can slow it down. There was a notorious problem with a Windows hotfix, for instance. If you were using Symantec's antivirus, the Norton antivirus, and you applied this hotfix, all of a sudden everything got very slow. And it was nothing wrong with the hotfix, nothing wrong with Norton, really. It was just there was an interaction. Now, so it could be something like...
Sorry about that.
That's okay. How old is he?
I got 3 kids, actually.
Oh.
The youngest is just turned 2.
He's like that call tone that was very popular for a while.
Exactly. Not really words, but sounds.
You make a call tone out of him, he could be rich. So it could be that. The thing that scares me when I hear people with Windows say all of a sudden the machine got really slow is it also could be spyware or a virus. And that's what you really want to be careful about. It could mean that something else is using your computer. What? Well, if it's a spyware or a virus, they could, a virus, for instance, a guy could be using your computer to forward spam. And all of a sudden, everything would get very slow. I guess the best thing to do would be, is it always slow?
Well, after a while, it just got everything slow. When I first started noticing, it was only a few things, and then it sort of just overran everything.
And that could also be a hard drive, a sign of a hard drive problem. So I need more information, I guess is what I'm saying. Do you hear the hard drive laboring? Do you hear it going?
I hear it running, trying to find the information.
Yeah. And has that noise changed lately? Is it laboring more than it used to?
With the lag, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably okay. That's the key. That was the little bit of information I needed that answers this question. So it could be a lot of things, but because of you hearing the hard drive working, it's almost undoubtedly that the hard drive is having trouble reading those things. So the lag is the hard drive having to read that data 3 or 4 times before it can actually get it in there and say, oh, now I understand. Now that can be caused by a number of things. Typically a failing hard drive, but it could be a hard drive that the formatting has kind of gone bad, or there's weak, the information is being written weakly, things like that. One good program for this is not free. In fact, it costs more than many hard drives. Is SpinRite. We've had Steve Gibson on all the time on this show. I'm a big fan of his.
I'm usually always watching when he's on there.
Spinrite.info, SPINRITE, but it's like $80, and new hard drives like $70. So, I use it, and for people who work with hard drives a lot, for sure, this would tell you what's wrong. What you would do is you would run it, and it would run overnight, and it would check the whole drive, look for bad sectors, and underneath the data, without changing the data, it would reformat the drive, and often that can fix this kind of thing. So that would be one possibility. Another, really, if you don't want to spend any money, what I would suggest is make a backup.
Yeah.
And one thing to do would be just really back everything up, or get an image of the drive, reformat the drive, give it a fresh format. Often that'll fix the problem, put everything back on. But if it's still really laboring and slow, and you can actually hear it trying to read this stuff over and over, then it could just be that it's starting to die, and it might be time for a new hard drive. How old is the hard drive?
Actually, this hard drive is maybe going on 2 years.
Problem is, the way they do the mean time between failure, the way they give you that lifetime statistic is they take a bunch of drives and they run them till a few die, and then they average that over all the drives. Any drive can die at any time. That's really the bottom line. So would you agree, Sean? From everything he's told us, sounds like a failing hard drive.
It could well be, yes.
Yeah, and it's a really hard one to fix. Best bet would be either buy SpinRite or ghost it, reformat, and hope that restoring it fixes it.
I was thinking about just reformatting it and putting everything on.
Yeah.
But there was one program that I do use.
Yeah, that you don't have a copy of.
I had suspicion that it might be the problem also.
What program is that?
It's AutoPatcher.
And what does AutoPatcher do?
what Autopatcher is, it's a program where you can get updates for it where it updates your Windows. It has all the Windows updates.
I'll tell you, I don't think so, but I would turn it off and see. I'm not familiar with it. It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
It's from NeoWin.
That I'm worried about is that it may not be the hard drive. It may be a program that I'm using.
Yeah, it could be.
And I'm worried that I might install that back on and it starts lagging again.
As I start at the beginning of the question, I started to say there's about 8,000 things it could be.
Yeah.
But I think when you say that you hear the thing laboring, that's usually a sign of a bad hard drive. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it could be, if you're thinking it's an individual program, best thing, uninstall it, see if it fixes it. Sean?
Yeah, the only other thing I would add to that is if the hard drive is laboring an awful lot, if you're running at or near the amount of memory in your system, it could be swapping out on a regular basis if you've got enough programs.
So if you have less than 512 megs of RAM, that could also impact it.
Yeah, if it's even less. If you just added a few programs to that will push it over that.
Yeah,
edge,
maybe having
it'll keep
Autopatcher
swapping.
running all the time in the background was just enough to put it over, and it's swapping all the time. That's the problem. Is there's so many things that can cause a computer to get slow, and it's hard to tell from what you described. But I'm holding on to that clue that it was laboring. That to me sounds like a hard drive failure. Some things to think about, Jason. Anyway, if reformatting it doesn't fix it, get a new hard drive. Have you got something important that you want to tell your entire company? Maybe you should think about publishing a slick and professional-looking email newsletter. Amber got her start in the tech biz doing that. She's going to talk about an email newsletter with an expert. Before we do that, why don't we test your brains with our next tech trivia question of the day? Last chance to answer this one. IEEE 1394 refers to which computer interface? Firewire, USB, Bluetooth, or infrared? Get to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it. One Call for Help continues.
Welcome back. Today's next tech quiz is IEEE 1394 refers to which computer interface standard? Is it Firewire, USB, Bluetooth, infrared? The answer is Firewire. These days, companies are starting to use newsletters for more than just boring production information. They're being created to announce events, highlight interesting bits of news, and in some cases, to share a laugh. Bill Sweetman is here today to tell us how we can get started authoring a company mailout. Hey, Bill, how are you doing?
Great to be back.
Great. That's how I got started in the web business. I did an email newsletter using SparkList, if you're familiar with that. That's been around for a while. I'm not sure if they're still around, but probably. And you're going to show us another tool today for people to use if they want to start sending out an email newsletter.
That's right. I mean, there's a number of tools out there. There's nFlyer and Constant Contact. And the one I'm going to take people and show you today is Campaigner. It's campaigner.com. It's actually started by a Canadian company, which is kind of cool.
Cool. And it's pretty easy to use?
Yeah, so when we look at the main sort of account section, and we'll just sort of take you through how you might go about sort of prepping your newsletter.
Great. And just really show people how easy it is to do, because it is quite simple.
That's right, and it's a typical kind of model. You've got some kind of dashboard. You log in with your username and password. So here, because I love the movie The Big Lebowski.
Who doesn't?
We're gonna log in and sort of go to that particular newsletter. So it's a Lebowski newsletter, and we're gonna edit it today. So you might have set this up a template. So the first thing you do is actually name the campaign. What's the name of your newsletter? You pick your contact database. So of course, these are people that have asked to be sent your newsletter.
And is this something that's integrated into Campaigner? Because I remember when I was using SparkList, it was pretty easy. All you did was you added a script onto your website, and then people could go there, and then it was those people's email addresses were automatically added into a database.
That's right. So Campaigner gives you a way to add a form to your website, and you can also import an opt-in list of your own from your own database as well. So you've got the two options.
Okay.
So once you've picked your database, now we get into the fun part, which is actually editing your newsletter. So you can edit the subject, and here we get into the layout. So you can actually pick different templates that Campaigner provides. You can change the colors. I just mocked this up for the show, so it's not the prettiest newsletter ever.
It's okay, Bill. We'll forgive you.
And assuming you've written the copy, you can go in and edit the text. So it's all kind of point and click. It's pretty straightforward.
So you don't need to know any HTML at all to actually create the newsletter.
That's what's really great about it. You don't need to know any HTML. If you want to add links, there's capabilities to do that without any programming.
And so it's quite easy just to get in there, set it up, choose from the layouts. Are there a
Yep.
bunch of different layouts that you
Yeah,
can
there's
choose from?
about 15 different layouts, and then within those layouts, you can go and change the colors. If you want a pink and purple newsletter, hey, you can go for that.
You have the option.
Then you preview it.
Okay.
And you can actually, what's kind of cool is you can preview it both in HTML and also plain text.
That was actually going to be my next question, because I remember when I was sending out a newsletter with this big issue where there's a lot of people who can't read HTML email
right.
newsletters. They can only read plain text. Do you know if it's something that people have the option for as well, to sign up for either when they're actually going to?
Yes,
Okay.
the sign-up form allows you to do that, and it'll automatically, Campaigner will automatically display the appropriate format for the people receiving it. So once you've got it all looking beautiful in purple and pink or whatever, you can then add the unsubscribe option.
Okay.
And if you want to track any of the links in the newsletter, you can do that.
And one thing we want to mention is that you always want to give people an easy way to unsubscribe to the
That's
email
right.
newsletter, because people are really bombarded these days with email and information, and there is a chance they maybe don't want to read it.
Yeah, and good tools like Campaigner give your subscribers a quick means to unsubscribe. There's a reply message if you want, and then you test the campaign, and you can send a test, which is great. That's a good best practice.
And that will probably, chances are, that will come back to you.
That's right.
And then you'll be able to see if it looks okay, and you could get multiple.
Yep.
You can see. I used to do this. So.
Yeah, you can keep doing it until you get it right. And then once you're happy with it, the cool thing here is you can schedule it. So you don't have to publish it right now. You can schedule it to go out, days or weeks or months ahead of time.
And I imagine they have stats as well, so you can tell how many people have subscribed and all that type of information.
Right. So once you've sent out the newsletter, you can log in and you can figure out how many people clicked. You can even find out who clicked on some of the links. Which
That's
is
always
pretty cool.
good to know. And how much is it?
It starts with I think $10 to $15 a month for, or you can do a pay what you can kind of.
It's usually based on the number of subscribers.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Bill. Bill Sweetman is the Vice President of Internet Strategy at McLaren McCann Direct and Interactive. You can read more about Bill's best practices advice from his blog at sweetmantra.com. To get links and more info about email newsletters, and you can sign up for our newsletter, visit callforhelptv.com. We'll be right back in a minute to wrap up the show, so don't go away.
I know a lot of people who do newsletters, what you were talking about in the last segment, but who've decided to kind of abandon it. Even Steve Gibson says, I'm going to send one more out and be banned as a spammer. I'm going to do it with an email address, even though he's not a spammer, but as soon as you start sending mass mailings, people assume that you're spamming. And that's a real problem for somebody who wants to do a mailing list, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a problem. One thing I used to recommend to people all the time is that if you want to do a newsletter, you could have the option for people to sign up for it, but you can also post it on your website.
That's the
It's
best
kind
way
of,
to do it.
almost like a blog or an
Yeah.
alert or something like that. So it is there as well.
And now with RSS feeds, you don't have to push emails out anymore. You could just say, if you want to be updated. I used to have an email, and I stopped doing my email newsletter. First of all, I didn't want to be labeled a spammer. A lot of people weren't getting it because a lot of times it ends up in the spam barrel. But also now with RSS, you just say, look, you want an update? Subscribe to my blog, and every time something new comes in the blog, you can see it in your RSS reader.
Yeah, so I think it's for people who maybe aren't at that stage yet.
Maybe
in my
that's
mind,
it.
it's for people who are just new to email, and a newsletter seems like a nice,
Yeah.
safe environment.
That makes sense. Hey, if you want to be on this show, speaking of safe environments, we promise not to yell. All you got to do is go to the website, callforhelptv.com, click the link on the left. As Amber mentioned, you can subscribe to our newsletter. We do one, absolutely, with some fun stuff in there. Remember, if you've got a problem with your personal confuser,
Don't whine.
don't moan,
Don't yell.
just
Call for help.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.